Am I coming in?
You are, but you're really delayed.
Well, that's really my personality type.
Okay. I think you're
Uh,
in real time now.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
So Brett's not gonna sit in on this one. He's gonna be in the chat. And I know this is just last minute, but I figured we should probably jump in and just kind of do a recap. Oh, here it
Okay.
is.
I don't know if
Oh,
you guys are actually live because I'm not seeing you. Hey,
it says live. We are the worst at this stuff. Look.
we're terrible at this stuff. Okay,
Yeah, there's three people watching.
okay.
Nice. You guys are awesome.
This is it. This is what you're dealing with, you know.
That's cool.
It's
Well,
like when I
people understand. Hello, three people in Bigfoot world. I
Yeah, it's
see
kind of like in
Charlie.
the Wizard of Oz, pulling
hmm
the
Nancy's here.
sheet back. Yeah.
Uh, Lathis, I'm watching from South
Ooh.
Florida. All right.
How is it in
Eduardo.
South Florida? It's probably much nicer than it is here right now. I do better at 72 degrees and above. So this low 40, high 30s is
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, it's good to see you, Jill. It's good to be back here with an audience of patient live streamers all waiting in tow for the latest thing to drop. So, what has changed in the last week with the Flash of Beauty team? Or if you just want to catch up and tell me what's going on.
Well, it seems like a lot's been going on, but now that I'm here, I don't know what to say. So let's see here. We have just to recap. I'm watching my phone, getting ready to fall out of this stupid stand. Okay, if it goes down, we'll just roll with it. So let's see here. We had Ron Moorhead's interview posted.
Okay.
Always a good time with Ron. And tomorrow, so let me back up. So, like for the members who have joined our YouTube channel, they've already had access to Ron Moorhead and Scott Nelson, who will be
hmm
public tomorrow. But Brett's been right away. He's been keeping busy editing and putting together the next interview that we're going to release.
Okay.
It's a doozy. It is Larry Turner. And
Ooh.
so some of you might remember Larry from in the first film. He is the gentleman who was camping and had the Bigfoot reach through the tent and cradle his head. And that was just one of his stories. And even when we quit filming, he had some extraordinary stories that I was like, this needs to be on camera. We'll get you next time.
hmm
But yeah, so we'll have Larry, and we still have a few other little odds and ends that we're putting together. We still have footage from our trip to Bluff Creek
Oh, yeah.
that we still haven't cut, and that includes the infamous trail cam Apple video of now you see it, now you don't, but nothing else happened. So there's that, and let me think, what else?
Well, go back, Larry Turner, real quick. I had a chance to sit down with Larry last year at your house before the McMinnville UFO Festival. First time I really met the guy. And we went into details. I don't know what ever became of that. Oh, I know what happened. I screwed up on the initial interview with Larry and I forgot to hit record. And I'll never forget the look in your face, Jill, in particular, when we all looked up at the Zoom. And I was like, I think I was recording. Uh, I wasn't. And so I drove down to Portland to interview Larry. And I think it was a better interview myself, to sit down with him like that, because you can tell so much more and you appreciate these stories so much more when you're sitting with somebody one on one. I mean, you know that.
Yeah.
But when Larry recreated in person where that Sasquatch head went, because it not only reached through the fabric of the tent, but its thumb was separated from where the fingers land, and the thumb was back on his jaw.
Yeah.
So, just let that sink in. It certainly sunk in to Larry. He'll never forget that. So that's coming up. So that's cool.
And what's really cool about Larry's story is the irony is he does not live far from us, maybe just a few miles away,
Right.
and where he had his experiences are just like right behind me, out the
Hmm.
window, up in the Tillamook Forest,
Uh-huh.
maybe 30 miles from here. So
Yeah, so we got Joe Beelart, we've got Ron Moorhead, we've got Amy Boo, we've got who else? We do. We don't have Dr. Michael Adams interview up, but we do have Peter Byrne up. And did we get Mark Parker up yet?
not yet,
Not yet.
not
That's
yet.
coming.
That's going
Okay.
to be a good one. And you know what? I'm so glad you brought it up. We have not had a chance to actually get Dr. Michael Adams, uh, on for the podcast to interview him, and I
Right.
think that's okay. Here's the thing: is with the sequel, we go into some interesting places,
Mhm.
so I think it's more appropriate to bring Dr. Adams in more as we get
Right.
into the sequel, because you want to talk about PTSD and your mind trying to process things that you shouldn't be seeing. I
Hmm.
think that would be more appropriate than just your kind of textbook citing, or hearing some sounds.
So there's people we didn't haven't interviewed for the podcast. If you go back, folks, and go into the archives of the YouTube channel, which I hope you would, share it along, hit the alert button, all that good stuff. Um, you all are going head over heels for this director's footage that we're releasing. Now's your chance to go see what was before the director's footage, because we got stuff out of these people that you guys didn't get in the initial interview. But people we haven't got anything out of yet, that we haven't even got up on the docket, is including Dr. Michael Adams, and we also don't have, gosh, we don't have Rachel's interview. I don't know if Rachel's ever going to sit down with us and give an interview. That would be something in the future. We don't have her father yet on the docket yet, but he's coming, and
We did interview him at Phenomicon.
we sat down with him
Yep.
for a good hour. Some interesting talk with him about the footage and about his sighting. And then we also don't have the two friends up at the lake. I always mess up their names.
Chad and
Chad and
Chad and
Austin.
Austin.
Yeah.
And
And
not
we
for
don't know.
effort, not for lack of effort. I mean, you
We tried
tried.
like 3 or 4 times, guys, to get them to come down here. I tried personally well over 4 or 5 times. It just hasn't happened yet. And I'm crossing fingers that it absolutely will happen in the future. And we haven't even begun with part 2. I mean, we haven't even sat down and mapped that out yet.
No. Well, so many people from part one made it into part two. So there's kind of yeah, Brett and I were talking about that. Like, who from the sequel could we actually start posting their interview, because it won't give anything away?
Right.
Um, so we've been playing around with that, but there's some interesting stuff coming up in the sequel.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're not missing anybody. Oh, of course, Joe Beelart and Henry Franzoni, and then of course the park ranger Stuart Love,
And Jeff
and
Becker.
and Scott Tompkins. So yeah, there's quite a few on here, and they have, to have 43,000 views in 2 weeks is a pretty big accomplishment for all these whistleblowers, and 53,000 views. We can get these up to 100,000 views for sure. Ron's at 5.9 in a couple days. And then you guys are also Brett's releasing shorts right now, right? These are segments, in particular, a couple days ago, one on Patty.
Yeah, we do have some extended scenes. Because originally, like, the first cut of the film was really long, so
Mm,
there were scenes that we had to trim down and whatnot, and
mm.
there was certain footage we weren't able to use, but we've we're releasing it now because it's not actually in the documentary.
Okay.
Gosh, I'm trying to think. What other behind the scenes. What I'm really excited about, Tobe, is that we have a treasure trove of you and Daryl Adams. Uh, because it wasn't, we did so many interviews with you, that initial one, and then we went down into the woods, into the wilderness. And
And that's
then,
because it takes a lot of cuts to get it right with Daryl and I. It's not because we were a wealth of information.
oh, that's debatable. Um,
Yeah.
no, so yeah, and but we got such great stuff, and then we had, we still have Daryl's original interview, which really kind of put wheels in motion on the direction we took the project, because
Right.
um, like we've mentioned before in some of the other podcasts and videos we've done, originally this documentary was going to be, we're going to cover cryptids,
Mhm.
hauntings, UFOs and aliens, and try to
Right.
just do kind of a cornucopia of paranormal stuff. And our first our first shoot of the documentary was at Beachfoot in 2020, which is it's a private gathering of experiencers who share stories and research. And one of the names that I was given of people to talk to was Daryl Adams, and I
Mhm.
got that from Diane Stocking. Diane,
Mhm.
she kind of pointed at Daryl and said, "You should talk to Daryl. He has some interesting stuff going on." I was like, "Oh, okay." So yeah, and so as we're talking to him, he's like, "Yeah, they come down to the fence line. I record them. They leave footprints." And then he paused and said, or asked, "Do you want to hear about all the other stuff?" And then it was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Oh yeah, we got UFOs. We've got like haunting activity. We got XYZ." And I was like, well, that kind of checks the box for, everything we're doing. So
Mhm.
that was really kind of the turning point of where we were all in on
Right.
on Bigfoot. So, which of course led us to you and multiple trips
Mhm.
down to your neck of the woods. So, yeah, including the infamous ending
Mhm.
that we have in the sequel.
Yeah, that ending came up this weekend, and I have notes written out here about what happened as far as conversation out in the woods with Rich Germeau. But we got back from the woods 2 nights. Was it yesterday? I got back. Yeah, so less than 24 hours ago, and we were talking about the lights, and I think that's what you're alluding to. But the it keeps coming up, and I don't want to give anything away about the ending of the movie, but the lights are no secret anymore. I mean, when you're in proximity of the supernatural, lights will show up of one degree or another. And the conversation came up on them in an unexpected way, to the point where we did a little bit of recon work to see where these lights were, and whether or not it could be a car in the distance, because you're always debunking this stuff. But everything's so cyclical in the story of Bigfoot, and you guys have really learned that along the way, how to ask these questions, probably quicker than I did, because I didn't even know the right questions to ask. But since I don't think I'm outing you, Jill, but you're not just Jill the producer, you wear two hats. Can we talk about the crystal ball that you hide from others?
It's right there.
I mean, is that part of why maybe people are willing to talk to you? Is because you're seeing beyond sight? You're asking questions to things that ordinary producers may not ask, because you're generally prompting questions, and Brett and Mike are setting up shots.
Yeah, well, okay, so some background. The day job for
Mm,
Jill is like when we're doing videos and interviews for corporate clients, whether it's healthcare, whether it's product,
mhm,
whether it's just whatever we're hired for. I'm the one who's kind of doing the, meeting with the client and kind of having to back engineer their story to the questions to get
mhm,
the responses we need. And
right.
so for every interview we did, it started with a phone call that was never shorter than an hour. Um,
Right.
so I would get the whole story that we were going to, most of what we get on camera. So
Mhm,
I could start kind of dissecting that and really
mhm,
kind of digging in ahead of time. and
Yeah.
coming up with the questions, and then going a little bit deeper. And then I guess you could say, because I am interested in this world and in these mysteries and things that you don't
Mhm.
quite talk about, and you could even say an awareness of things that some people don't pick up on.
Mhm.
um, that's always kind of like the north star of asking the
Mhm.
questions, and of course Brett would jump in.
Mm.
So I don't know
Now,
if I sidestepped you
a
or
little bit, but let me ask you this: did your mother have awareness too?
um if she did,
Mm.
it was not discussed.
Your grandmother?
um that gets into some murky waters,
Mhm.
perhaps, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it
yeah.
seems to have a lineage, and so do these experiences. They're not just one-off. Generally speaking, it takes a while to find this out. But what I've found is a lot of people that really sink their teeth into the subject of Bigfoot have these other experiences, and they seem as though they run along on mainly the mother's side, is what I'm finding. And
That
the
makes sense. Yeah,
mother's
yeah.
experience, or the grandmother's an experience, or and maybe that's just because the fathers aren't going to talk about it as easily. But any thoughts on that in the comment section? If you tell me to, you know, go pound sand, I'll understand. But I think it's worth looking into, don't you?
Absolutely. And yeah, maybe next year that will be a side project of really
Hmm.
diving into. But yeah, definitely. I mean, and that was, one of the things when I met Brett, that was a common interest because we were both into the paranormal and
Hmm.
kind of mysterious things. That was a
Hmm.
common bond. But it takes a while to find people you can talk about this stuff with. Um, and
Absolutely.
I found my people. I finally feel like I can let it all out.
um, I have some notes here, but I don't want to step on anyone's thunder here. We've rearranged how we're going to do this as far as the flow. So let me know if you have anything out of the gate you want to talk about, and then I'll come later.
Um, well, out of the gate, and it's a little bit off topic. It is cryptid related. It
Hmm.
it it involves December 23rd. Can you discuss? Can you talk about this at all? Can you touch on this?
Oh man, if I knew we were going to go there, I would have had the audio queued up. Really, this is a B dog conversation. Sometimes we have an open thread going between us. It's kind of like a confessional thread where we exist and we send each other random news flashes. And Brett's been sending me some humdingers from Reddit. And this one from this morning or last night, and feel free to comment, moderator, down in the comment section. Um, there was it a truck driver, Brett, that was sending out shooting for a radio signal in deep space and got a message back at 1.68 gigahertz, which I believe is the Skinwalker gigahertz that they keep seeing pronounce itself coming in from the Mesa. I may be screwing this all up. Anyway, it gave an alphanumeric code, I believe, just a numeric code for letters, and when these letters were transcribed, just like um, oh, what is that? SETI,
Hmm.
SETI sending out signals into space. It said something to the effect of, and I think I have the transcription here. Let's see if I do. Someone transcribed it on Reddit what this message said in deep space, and this, get ready to hold on to your hats, because it's literally starts off with 45, 61, 72, 68, 61. Okay, so you get the picture here. It goes on and on and on.
It's like paranormal bingo.
Yes, that's exactly right. I love it. And I have my dauber. It says Earth time, 1800 UTC, December 23rd, 2023. Latitude 47. Longitude, -111. You know us. We know you. We are like you. We lived among you. Embrace us, for we mean you no harm. We are like you, but with fur. We are like you, but canines also. We love you. Please love us. Okay, so that's what that's what I woke up to. The best part for me that really warms my heart is that there's an excluded class of people that are coming to us humans and they're saying, "We are like you, but with fur." And then, hey, gentlemen, if that doesn't work out in a bar, I don't know what does, because that's a pickup line if I've never heard one. I'm like you, baby, but with fur. 1.685 gigahertz range. Okay, so you can go on the Reddit. I don't think Brett can post this. Maybe you can post the link, Brett. I don't know if you can. It's a good read and it's a good listen because you get the actual transcription of the alphanumeric numbers. They are alphanumeric, but you also get some of this AI voice saying some of this crazy stuff. So, latitude, again, go research it, Nancy. Latitude 47, longitude -111. There's your data point, December 23rd at 6 o'clock UTC. UTC -7. Sorry, missed that part. 1800 UTC -7 Earth time,
So what
not
time
that
is that?
Uranus time.
What time is that for me?
Help us out with what UTC 6 o'clock. But what is UTC? I don't know what that stands for. I don't know
Is
what
it
UTC means. So yeah, there's also something happening apparently right now, and I'm waiting to see if everything just blows up in a mushroom cloud. But we're also waiting on another clock simultaneously. So cheers. I think we got another 10 minutes here before someone
okay?
pulls the clock.
I know. Well, I've been getting messages about one disaster, and so I
Mm-hmm.
did run down to Whole Foods to grab my $4 bottle of wine, just
Oh,
to
okay.
shelter
Right.
in place tonight.
So
Yeah. So
UTC is Universal Time Clock. Okay, gotcha.
what does that mean, though? Does that mean?
Yeah, what time would Universal be? Because I go by Pacific, baby.
Yeah,
I don't wake up to UTC. I wake up to PST.
I wake up whenever
Okay.
I damn well please.
Yeah. You're up early though. This gal's up getting her steps in bright and early, at least by 7 o'clock in the morning. You're out doing your little Instagram posts,
It's
the
been rough. It's
trees.
been so dark in the
Mm,
morning and so rainy and gross. So I've
yeah.
been getting a late start. So, but I'm out
Okay.
there. I'm out there. Okay. Wait a minute. So wait, we're talking like, okay, Greenwich Mean
Mm,
Time. So that's like UK time. So
okay.
this is going to be in the middle of the. I want to know where. I want to plan
We need to
according.
know Pacific. We want to know about us. So, what is the Pacific Standard Time that Lassie's coming back to make us all, man slaves? I want to know the date. Um, you know, I don't know does it really sound that crazy after everything that we've looked into?
Here's the thing. Okay, so and again, I only bring it up because it does kind of fall under the cryptid umbrella. But
Hmm.
it seems like over the last year or two, there's really been an uptick, and maybe it's not an uptick in sightings of dogmen
Hmm.
and that whole thing going on, or maybe it's more that more people are comfortable coming forward and sharing their stories because more people are talking about it. But there's definitely, it does seem like an uptick in people seeing things and reporting things, and I don't know.
So Nancy's saying here, and I'm going to get back to what you brought up. So -8 hours is Pacific Standard Time from UTCA. So if that's 1600 hours of UTC, then you're going to subtract 8 from that, and that's going to put us at 10 in the morning. Is that right? Did I do that math correct? I don't know. 11 o'clock is
Brett's
what
saying
Brett's saying.
11.
Okay.
No, really,
The dog,
Brett?
the dog folks. After some of the convincing stories that I've heard, I mean, first of all, let's talk about Flash of Beauty and let's talk about Tara. Tara the psychic, Tara Harris. We met in Cottage Grove. She's um, she's outside of our story and tells her story because she has events happen. She starts off as a non-believer, as a psychic, like
Mm-hmm.
Sarah Lemos did, and she becomes a quick believer after going into one of the hot spots, which was above Daryl's house, and has an experience. Her and her psychic um, horse whispering cow girlfriends all saw one together, and it even left her a little crystal, a quartz crystal rock that looks like a big. It looks like a Bigfoot. I mean, there's no way to really say anything else. It looks like a
Yeah.
gift from Bigfoot. And anyway, but Tara, she would show up at these live functions I did in Cottage Grove early on, and I invited her to be on stage and give a presentation. And then she started to talk about her guides. Now, her guides aren't angels, typical angels. She said her guides were half men, half dogs. And she said, "You know what Anubis is?" And I said, "Well, you mean like Egyptian Stargate dogs, right?" She said, "Yeah, like jackal heads." She goes, they scare people. Well, you know how many times I've heard that from women that supposedly have, I don't hear this from guys, but I do hear this from women, that they have half dog, half men guides. It's an odd coincidence. What do you do with it? They just put it down in your weird book and say, okay, I'll come back to it later.
Mm-hmm.
But then you get to some of these incredible eyewitness testimonies of people that have seen these dogmen, these werewolves. I mean, I don't know what else to call them. I like werewolves so much better, lichens. And so maybe something is coming. I don't know. I mean, if Krampus is going to come or if Dogman's going to come. Um, back in Springfield, Oregon, my uncle used to come, and he would always be the drunk Santa that would show up at my grandmother's door. But those were different days. We don't have to get into that. But um, yeah. So I don't know what's going to happen. Montana. I thought we were okay. So it looks like Montana is the coordinates. Um, hey, can I say something really just kind of serious here, real quick? A couple days ago, Dwayne Ollinger of Blind Frog Ranch put out a public post that his wife had a cardiac event. Since then, his wife has posted online on social media that she's okay, and she thanks everybody for well wishing. But I had a chance to meet Charlie Boy and Dwayne and his son Chad, um, and even Ryan Skinner, who's been friends with all these guys because he's in season 3. So just some, if you can, guys, just a special thought and prayer to the Ollinger family during this, I'm sure, nerve-wracking time. And I'm sure Blind Frog Ranch is the last thing on their mind right now. So just, remember that when writing them. They're loving season 3 happening, but this was the last thing that I'm sure Dwayne, you know, thought was going to happen. So yeah. And then I also wanted to thank Charlie Boy. Um, Charlie is an interesting guy. Now, if you don't know Charlie Boy, he's second in command generally to Dwayne at Blind Frog Ranch, and Charlie is a hands-on healer. And I only found that out because of some healing he did at Phenomenon on the behest of a friend of mine. And that healing has been ongoing. I think it was just literally just a hands-on kind of thing, like a faith healing. You would never think that Charlie Boy was out doing stuff like that, but apparently he does, and apparently it works. So Charlie, thank you for that. But beyond that, I don't know if he'll ever see this, but he also reached out to somebody in Flash of Beauty within the last week who's also having ongoing medical issues and is working with one of the cast members, I think remotely, to do some healing. So, for the sake of their privacy, we'll leave it there. But this is the thing about conferences, people, is you can't just go online or watch these Zoom meetings. You got to show up at these events because it's this in-person contact stuff that's going to really change the way you think about this and how you kind of build up your evidence and your experiences. You agree, Jill?
I do. Yeah, sorry, I'm just like listening. Um, I forgot I was participating. Yeah, and it's always there's, there, there's always a little extra when you go to
Uh,
these conferences
mhm.
and you can meet people in person and like grab lunch with them or
Mhm.
or you're having coffee and just chatting about stuff where I think people let their guard down a little bit more and they're more willing to share.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything that we need to address here on the chat?
Oh, Brett just brought up. Yeah. So as you're watching Blind Frog Ranch, you'll see Ryan Skinner wearing a black sweatshirt that is a Flash of Beauty sweatshirt inside out. The producers
Oh,
are like, there's too many words and
yeah. Right.
advertising. So I sent like a care package down to the producers with a bunch of shirts, and I'm like, you guys can wear these on camera as much as you want. Go for it.
But now you have that kick-ass hoodie that just has the flashing Bigfoot and it has no words. So that's your logo. I mean,
Oh
that's
yeah,
people are going to want that one as well as soon as they see that image.
that one's. You know what? You know what? I wish we had more of that was like everyone wanted, but we sold out really fast. The baseball caps with the logo on
Oh
it.
yeah.
We had
Yeah.
the camo
Mm.
ones with the black and white logo were really good looking. So I think they have them somewhere on the page in the shop, but they're good looking hats.
Speaking of good-looking people here, I want to talk about the brave voices of disclosure. In particular, one of the guests in part two is Ira Wolfnosen. Ira Wolfnosen is like 10 minutes in, and she talks about the ships coming in, and she's there with her pit bull and hanging out in the sun, and how basically the natives couldn't see the ships as they're or the Spanish couldn't no, the natives couldn't see the ships coming in because they couldn't believe their eyes because they'd never seen anything like that. But beyond that, Ira is just an interesting interview and an interesting friend, and she's become a friend of all of ours. But she just released a book. You can get a hold of her new book out. It's called The Devil's Mistake from Occultist to Christian. That is now available on Kindle and softback. I don't know if there's a hard copy. Self-published. Check it out. Jill's got a copy of it. She hasn't made it all the way through, but you can read the preface.
No, I finished it. I
Oh, he
finished
did.
it yesterday morning. I pretty much
Okay.
I spent the whole I was in. I was like I need to read this now. So I got mostly through it and then I finished it yesterday morning.
And this is one of the kind of books I would imagine because Ira doesn't just throw away words. This is something maybe you kind of have to reread because it's pretty dense and there's a lot in it, a lot of information.
It's so Ira is a wordsmith. It's written it's poetic and powerful and I will need to read it again because there's a lot of stuff where I just kind of had to make note, like,
Hmm.
okay, I'm gonna put a pin in that and keep reading,
Hmm.
digest this, and go back because there's a lot to unpack. And like Tobe, I was messaging you
Hmm.
uh, some of my thoughts, and I've been kind of following Brett around in the
Well,
last day, just kind
the
of like
preface kind of sucks you in. If you can get online, you can read that preface. That definitely sucks you in. And she's the only woman I've ever known who's been to Bohemian Grove. And if you want to know more about a strange place in NorCal where a lot of elites meet up once a year, Ira went to a men's only um, occultist club for at least a night, as a little girl was taken there by, I believe, her father to look at this place, and she describes that a little bit. It's pretty spooky. So there's a lot in that book there. Again, with a title like that, "The Devil's Mistake," you can imagine it's probably not light reading. Also, I wanted to re-mention Henry Franzoni, "Failing in a Cooler Way: Why I Never Found Bigfoot," available self-published on henryfranzoni.com. Jill, have we heard the last of Henry?
No, we'll
Okay.
never hear the end of Henry. No, and as a matter of fact, that's one of the things we have. We're lining up, and
Okay.
this time of year, the holidays, things get complicated just with schedules and whatnot.
Mm. And
But
yeah.
Henry apparently he kind of came clean with me on Messenger. He's like, I was holding back. I have a lot more to tell you. There's a lot more to my story and things that I didn't basically he didn't have permission or clearance to talk about. He's ready to put all his cards on the table.
And go on camera.
Yeah.
And will this
Yeah.
be set? Will this be released immediately?
To be determined.
Okay.
We might. I don't know. I don't know. We'll just see how it lines up. If that's a special thing for members,
Mm,
or if we sit on it for a while,
mm.
or yeah. And who? Wait. I want to say there was one more. Oh, yeah. There's one more person who reached out to me who's like, we've got more. And that is Jeff Roan. Now, Jeff
Oh.
is in the first A Flash of Beauty, Bigfoot Revealed.
Mm-hmm.
He was the one who, up in Idaho, he and his friend had a sighting
Mm-hmm.
uh, on that Forest Service road, and we had some of his cell phone footage, and we interviewed him like 2 or 3 days after that sighting. So it was still kind of like he's still buzzing from it. But he's like, and this is bad on me. I totally there was a lot going on, but he has a lot of, I guess, what you would say, paranormal Bigfoot experiences and
Mm-hmm.
other things of that nature, dog man. And he's like, my buddy and I, we not only do they want to go on camera and just share everything, they want, the truth is the truth, and let's put it out there. But
Mm-hmm.
they have also, Jeff has extended the offer to take us up to Idaho, to where they had their sighting.
Okay.
So
And just to remind folks that Jeff Roan, for the longest time when he lived in Washington/Portland, um, he lived by the Lewis River in Washington near Battleground, and that's home to Tum Tum Mountain. If you haven't had a chance to go check that out, it's also near Cultus, Washington, and that's Cultus with a K. But it's also home to Wes and Woody's sighting on the Lewis River. And Jeff lived, I think, like 10 minutes away from where that sighting happened, including the lights that those guys saw that night. So Jeff Rowan has it going on. I'm not surprised. I just spoke to him not too long ago, and it's great to touch base with him. Also, don't forget, if you want to help out these brave disclosure witnesses in the doc, the best thing you can do is support and share all this stuff. If you can't contribute anything, then pick up one of their books, share one of their, uh, podcasts, including, of course, is Ron Moorhead and Quantum Bigfoot and the Sierra Sounds and Voices in the Wilderness, and then Simeon Hine. Simeon's got more than just dark matter monsters, which I always keep a copy. But he's also got Opening Minds, a book about circles, planetary intelligence, and the Black Swan Ghost Event, which I think might be one of the second coolest names for the book. But have you read any of these others than Dark Matter Monsters, Jill?
I read. Let me see if I have it down here. It might be in Brett's office with all my kind of
Yeah, but
paranormally books. There's a smaller book. Do you,
mm,
do you know what I'm talking about? It's almost like a daily.
that's
It's like a
that's a crop
mindfulness
circle
guide.
one. Yeah,
Is
I
that
think
the
it's.
one with it has like little like go for a walk? Stare at the
Oh,
stars.
it's a mindful one, like mindfulness.
Yeah, it's like a little.
Yeah.
It's like a little meditative mindfulness book.
Yeah, I think I've got it. Oh no, I don't. He also
Oh
um,
yeah.
he has this. This is his CD on oral resonance, and it plays a harmonic tone. And he plays the harmonic tone for about 30 minutes to put you in an altered state. So if you don't know of a Bigfoot spot, go find one. Go out in the middle of the desert and burn a little bit of Simeon Hine on your woofers and trip baby. That's at oral, I'm sorry, AURAL resonance.com. Simeon's cool. And you're going to be hearing more from Simeon, of course, as well. That brings us to some dates here with the roughly 15 minutes or so left that we have. Coming up in April, Medellin Falls. That's what I have logged out for us. If you want to see a Flash of Beauty Part 2 and have some, they're known for their cooking there. You guys really bragged about prime rib. Is
It was a prime rib dinner, and I'm a lazy vegetarian. Like, I
mhm.
eat fish and stuff, and if my food touches meat, I'm not going to panic. But even I indulged in the prime rib.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You can check that out. Also, coming up is the first annual Galactic Fest in August in Longview, Washington. And yours truly will be speaking there. Um, we haven't put anything on paper yet, but that's coming up. It's their first one by the same people that are doing the Squatch Fest. So that's being put on by the Chamber of Commerce, much like Phenomicon. So what I've noticed is when Chamber of Commerce gets in charge with the allowance, the financial allowance to throw a party, they're able to do it in a way that private resources aren't able to do it. And you really get the feel for that at Squatch Fest. And I think you're going to get a feel for it too. So, Galactic Fest, Longview, Washington, look out for that in August. Also, February 2023, 23, I'm sorry, 2024, next year. Tickets go on sale in February for Phenomicon 2024 in September. So you got to buy your tickets in February because they're going to sell out quick to go get your spot in September. I believe it's the first week. I think it's the weekend after Memorial Day weekend, if I'm not mistaken. So that's in September. And then at the end of September, um, how do I want to say this? If you have a calendar that you can get a hold of and you're watching this live, in the end of September 2024, mark out um, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday of the last week in September. Just put a little pencil mark in there and then put Flash of Beauty something because something's being built. And I'll tell you more about that in 2024. But the last weekend, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, just mark it out. And we'll talk about it later, 2024.
And Brett just mentioned Sasquatch Summerfest. We will be screening both films outdoors. Part one, I believe, on Friday night, and part two on Saturday night. So put that on your calendars too. And there are two other events that we were contacted about screening and presenting at, but those have not been confirmed. So
mhm. A little thing about Oak Ridge, Oregon is that Oak Ridge, Oregon has a town paper called the Dead Man's Echo. Okay, that's a cool name. They also had a mayor that had one arm. Well, that's pretty cool too. I used to go there up as a kid and look for Sasquatch. It was really one of the first places that I had experiences. There's a hot spot out there called Baboon's Creek. There's another hot spot out there called Skookum Creek. It's the second place I ever saw lights, including with contributor John Bull. There's so much Bigfoot stuff happening in Oak Ridge, Oregon, that I would put it up with the Olympics and Northern California. It probably is one of the most underrated Bigfoot hotspots.
hmm.
And I know exactly where you guys are going to be premiering this. It's off of Highway 58 at a beautiful park where the Willamette River flows down from the Cascades. and it's going to be a beautiful event. So I would definitely go to that one, especially in June. Is it in June?
July.
Yeah, July. That's the best time to be in Oak Ridge and support them. And there's so much Bigfoot stuff to do. So again, get your calendar ready, right? Like whatever's coming up, mark it down. That's going to be a good one. And there's other speakers there besides you, right? Like Cliff's going to be there.
Todd
Um,
Neese.
Todd Neese is going to be there. Yeah, there's going to be some people there at the Greenwater Park. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
The other thing I'll mention too is that I went out with Rich Germeau to where because Melba Ketchum's doing a new DNA study. And Rich was a big part of both the films, right? Rich is an intense dude, ex-cop, um, means what he says. Leave it at that. Guy means what he says, and he'll look you dead in the eye, and he'll say some crazy stuff, and he'll mean it. It turns out he's absolutely right about the Bigfoot stuff, okay? And probably some other stuff too. But we spent the night in the woods where he collected some samples in the Olympic Peninsula. And we sat around the fire. Not much was happening. It was we actually set up camp in the snow. We're looking up at a beautiful mountain in the background. Went down to a lake, and then suddenly the conversation turned to gnomes, which
Oh,
one of the things I love to do is carve wood gnomes. Right, it's a new passion of mine, carving these little gnomes. And I don't think that's why we brought it up, but I didn't think he had a gnome story. But Rich had some gnome information. So I got it on camera. So when I get that gnome information, I'll upload it. Maybe you guys can tag it on the Flash of Beauty website, see what Rich knows about gnomes. But then Rich said something about a book he had. And he goes, I've got a book on gnomes. You got to read this gnome book. And I said, okay. So we left the next morning, and we were dead set on getting me that gnome book. So he went through his house, he looked all around, and he goes, "Here it is." He goes, "It's written by two guys who are using pen names, and I think it's all true. I think everything they wrote in here, it's too detailed. It's like it's like Jeff Meldrum wrote it about Bigfoot. This is the gnome book." I was like, okay. So let me read to you just a couple. Do we have time for this? Can I read a couple gnome
yeah.
things? All right.
Absolutely, go for it.
So the opening, Nancy, what is that called when you open a book and it has a quote? There's an opening quote. I'm sure as an author, Nancy Fry here, author galore, editor galore. This is the opening statement by Axel Monk. To my amazement, I've heard that there are people who have never seen a gnome. I can't help but pity those people. I'm certain there must be something wrong with their eyesight. So, fact number one, gnome facts. Their feet are slightly pigeon toed to help them run through grass and leaves. Did you know that?
I've heard that.
Have you?
I have.
No way. I'm not scooping gnome facts here. You actually knew their little toes were pigeoned?
I'd heard that, yes.
Wow. Okay. Brian Froud book is amazing. Okay, Psychofoos. Wow, we got some gnome expertise in here. Okay. Adult male gnomes weigh on average 300 grams, while females a mere 250 grams. Males are on average 15 centimeters tall and live to around 275 years old, while females on average a mere 14 centimeters tall and live to around 350, while elderly gnome ladies grow a slight beard in their elderly age. I love that. Did you know that gnome shoes are cobbled out of birch bark? They are in Rich's book. To avoid leaving tracks, they carve small finch foot patterns on the sole of their boot. So, what is that telling you, Jill?
Well, that makes me think of sometimes on Dateline NBC, people will the criminal will like wear a different pair of shoes to throw off investigators in the tracks. So
You mean like catch a predator?
Well,
Not
no,
that one.
on those episodes, those guys just wander
Right.
right into the kitchen. No, I'm
What's this
talking to
guy's name? Mr. Hansen.
Chris Hansen.
Chris Hansen's always catching catching a gnome with Chris Hansen. What are you doing in here with all those cookies? You said you weren't into goblins. It's an awfully young goblin. All right.
Go on,
Did you
go
know
on.
that gnomes wear red cone spiked hats as a distraction to their prey, as like an anglerfish? But they also wear it to deter falling debris from above because it acts as a funnel.
Oh, like an
Like,
A-frame house with snow.
yes,
Yeah. Oh.
right. Keeps the pine cones,
The-
you know, if,
I I
yeah.
shouldn't laugh. I shouldn't laugh. It is a delightful. This is a fun conversation.
Some say that their red hats even have magical properties that help them disappear. Fact number 8, their ears have muscles and tendons to help them direct their hearing. So they're not just, you know, Prince Charles, they actually serve a purpose. They can hold their urine for a whole day. They do it like this. They put it in their hand and they serve it. They just walk around the woods. Their eyes are as good as an owl. They smell as good as a canine. And their fingertips, this was an odd one, their fingertips are as sensitive as someone born without sight. That
What
was a
does that
very
mean?
interesting detail. That they can feel the moss and they can feel the amanitas. And when they crawl out of their little squirrel hole, they're just like, oh, there's trouble out here. I'd best
Oh,
not.
okay. I kind
Yeah.
of do stuff like that too, though. I'll
Oh,
walk
yeah.
into places and I'll be like,
Right. Right. Yeah.
yeah.
And the last thing I wanted to mention has to do with mythical small beings like gnomes, and it has to do with Barb Shoop.
Mm,
And Barb Shoop sent us all some footage. She put it out in the internet, and it involves her walking above her spot where you filmed her in Greenwater with her dog Goldie,
mm-hmm.
and they're doing a morning walk. And Barb likes to carry her phone and put it on her walking stick, and it's just her and her dog, and the sun's coming up, and they're doing their thing and the stuff. And the dog's ears alert a little bit as he's walking along, and he moves over to the left and kind of gets a little bit hyper. And then out of the woods comes what can only be seen as a little white something. And it shoots off through the trees and towards the camera, stage right, her left side, over the camera. And it does so quickly that you would swear that it was close to the camera because it reaches the woods to above her shoulders in about a second. And as it flies through the air, it does an angled move and kind of turns and then shoots up and over. Now, she didn't really see it. She went back and reviewed it. And there was some measurement discernment on my part as far as how far away was this. So we were under the assumption it was much closer to the camera, but Barb had the mind to go back because she's the one that caught the cloaker footage. And she went back and did some measurements. And she came away with 101 feet away. So I encourage you to go look at this footage and come to your own conclusion. But if this small, what seems to be glowing, almost humanoid looking shape, something, she calls it a glow baby, this little fairy, if it shoots out of the Greenwater Forest at 100 feet towards her camera, within a second, it's going 64 miles an hour, which takes it out of, uh, the category of a bug for sure, and the category of a dove or a pigeon, because there's really no white towies and there's no scape parakeets. And the fastest bird that I could find that goes free fall is a hawk at 200 miles an hour. I think they got one. So I don't know what to say. She caught some other stuff. She hasn't released that on camera, but maybe glow babies exist. Maybe gnomes exist. I know this podcast exists. This documentary exists. It's your chance to go invest in what can only be described as magic. So I encourage you to do so. And I wrote an observational quote here. The world is all at once sifting through its priorities at breakneck speed. You can sense an ethereal beckoning from your head to your heart. And so I hope you agree with that statement. I know you do, Jill.
I do. You want to start pulling quotes out. I'm staring at some right here. Wonder is the desire for knowledge.
I love it. That's good.
Yes.
I love it. I thought it was going to be some sign you got at Bucky's.
No. Wait. I don't have any Bucky's paraphernalia up here, but I do downstairs. And I think we just lost Toe. It's just me. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got. Stay tuned and join us tomorrow to see, hi, Brett, to see Scott Nelson and whatever else we throw your way. If you're not following us on our Facebook page, Flash of Beauty Bigfoot Reveal, that's the best place to stay up to.
There we
Oh,
go.
there's
Sorry
more.
about that. I just got a phone call from one of the gang here. Sorry, I had to mute him,
Okay.
but my
I thought
apologies.
I thought you went rogue and it was just me, so I was trying to like be really polished. But
Mm,
there is something when you. I just want to. This is a little, I guess, a flash of beauty trivia or a flash of behind the flashes, the beauty behind the flash.
right.
That I just feel compelled to share, just because these the documentaries there is a seriousness and stuff, but we still have fun. And I was just thinking of, because we're doing the Ron Moorhead's Voices in the Wilderness documentary. And earlier this fall, Brett, Mike Ferry, and I went down to Northern California, I guess Northern Central type California, to do some interviews that pertain to members of the hunting camp that Ron was a part of. And on our way back, we were going through Yosemite because it's right there. Why would you not go through Yosemite? If you haven't, you need to. And traffic was backed up, and we were like all waiting. And Brett decided it'd be fun just to really kind of see what kind of reaction we get. But we rolled down the windows and started just cranking the Sierra sounds.
Oh.
And
Nice.
yeah, and because we thought, well, maybe this will be the call to draw Bigfoot out, and
Right.
everyone will have a sighting. We're kind of doing everyone a favor. Um, yeah, so sometimes this driving will put on Ron's audio
Hmm.
just to let people experience the magic.
Think out of the box. What else do you got to do? Brett's question here: where can people find Barb's Glow Baby fairy footage? I thought it would be on her Facebook site, Squatching with Barb and Goldie. I don't necessarily see it there. It might be in house. You could shoot Barb Shoop a message on Facebook. Tell her you're interested and that you follow her doc, that you saw the doc. Um, just tell her Toby was bragging about it. That's how I suggest. That's Shupe, and that's what I know about Barb. That's all I got, Jill. Unless there's anything else on your end, I guess we'll see folks relatively soon, if not within about a week or so. Usually about this time, only at our YouTube page at A Flash of Beauty. All right, that's it for
Yeah,
me.
that's all I got. And as we get closer, next week we'll make an announcement, I think, and we may have said this already, but there will be a special Christmas interview that will be released.
Okay.
Tis the season.
I'll be down in Oregon, so if I got any squatching friends down near between Albany and Cottage Grove, Look me up. Maybe I can pull away for a second. I'll be down that way sometime between the 22nd and the 26th. So,
Well, on
um,
the 23rd, when the dog people arrive, maybe we
oh,
can
that's
get
right.
something going. I don't know.
I gotta make sure I got all my shots before they get here. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Now, how do I? Okay, I think we're done here. End.